South Korea's military has strongly condemned North Korea's latest missile launch and called it a reckless provocation, adding that Pyongyang would be held responsible for any consequences. This comes after North Korea fired an intercontinental ballistic missile with a range Japan says is capable of reaching anywhere in the United States. South Korea's National Security Council said it was a solid-fuel ICBM, labeling the launch a destabilizing act that ignored international warnings and multiple United Nations Security Council resolutions. China, on the other hand, said it hoped relevant parties involved will take action to maintain peace and stability on the Korean Peninsula and urged dialogue by all concerned parties to resolve the issues. And former U.S. President and Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump has announced plans to conduct the largest deportation in American history if re-elected in 2024. Speaking at a rally in Nevada, Mr. Trump noted that he will terminate every open borders policy of the Biden administration.
On my first day back in the White House, I will terminate every open borders policy of the Biden administration. And I will invoke the Alien Enemies Act to remove all known or suspected gang members, drug dealers, or cartel members from the United States, ending the scourge of illegal alien gang violence once and for all. Joe Biden and the Democrat Party are incapable of solving any problem. There's not a problem they've been able to solve. Crooked Joe is you know this. Did you ever hear this? Crooked Joe is a low IQ individual. And he is truly the worst, most incompetent, and most corrupt president in the history of our country. In fact, Jimmy Carter is very happy because he looks like that was a brilliant administration by comparison to what you have right now.
Away from the U.S., Iraqis are voting in the first provincial council elections in a decade, with the ruling Shiite Muslim alliance likely to extend its grip on power amid a boycott by populist cleric Muqtada al-Sadr, its main political rival. The vote is seen as a test of Iraq's young democracy, installed by the U.S. after the toppling of Iraqi politician and revolutionary Saddam Hussein in 2003. Voter apathy has been on the rise among a mostly young population that feels it has not seen the benefits of Iraq's massive oil wealth, much of which is misdirected or stolen, and the country ranked among the world's most corrupt. More than 16 million Iraqis registered to vote today. Local elections last took place in 2013, and they were postponed because of the war against Islamic State militants who took over large parts of Iraq, but were eventually defeated. Let's get more on this. The VOA's Edward Uranian joins us now for more. Hi, Edward. Great to see you. Bring us up to speed as regards the elections in Iraq.
Yes, Joka. Well, the polling has closed in the 15 provinces where they were taking place. The 3 Kurdish northern provinces are not having elections. Kirkuk, which is a divided area ethnically, is participating. I guess that was one of the points the Iraqi commentators were making, that it's a bit of a new they're able to vote in Kirkuk, given all the instability over the years in that area. And the polls, as we've said, closed at 6 p.m. their local time, which is about, I guess, 2 hours before your time. And the Iraqi commentators are saying that the voting took place normally without any difficulties. Of course, one of the Arab news channels was showing problems at a polling station in Baghdad. So you know, I mean, the government is putting on a good face. I think they did take place under good conditions, considering all the elections we've watched over the past 20 years, where they have not taken place under favorable conditions.
Right, and this provincial council election is taking place for the first time in a decade. What stands out, from this particular exercise?
Well, basically the range of candidates, I guess, in terms of who is representing whom these candidates are representing, is very limited. You've got mostly pro-Iranian candidates, mostly pro-Iranian Shiite candidates. The Sunni alliance is not going to take very many seats, and this is going to affect the elections, the parliamentary elections in 2025. And the Shiite candidate, as you pointed out, that had the most clout and who's been most in favor of alliances with the Sunnis rather than just the pro-Iranian crowd, was Muqtada Sadr, and he told his people to stay home. So it's going to be mostly a one-flavor type of candidate that's being elected. Although the Iraqi commentators were pointing out that we have a quota for a quarter of the seats going to women, which I suppose is a bit of an unusual phenomenon for many Arab countries where you don't see women represented in politics. So it's a mixed bag, but I wouldn't see a lot of things I'd rave about.
Right, you did speak about voter apathy a couple of minutes ago, but for those who did come out to vote, what was the mood? Was there any excitement for them to cast their vote, many doing so, 10 years after the last time?
Well, people that were being quoted, being quoted by the media, the Arab media that is, were the older folks were saying, well, we're happy to be able to vote and we're getting out, and obviously the people that stayed home probably weren't interviewed, but ultimately they're saying the turnout is probably about 40%. They won't have the count until tomorrow. They won't have completed the count until tomorrow. I suppose is an indicator in of itself, because if there was any contention, they wouldn't have the results by tomorrow. So they pretty much know who's winning or going to win, and that's not necessarily a good sign. But in terms of the fact that it's going to be a undisturbed, undisrupted election, probably that may be a good sign. You never know. It's, as I said, a mixed bag.
Right, and then, for many elections, especially in developing countries and, troubled areas, security is a huge deal. We did see a lot of security men, officers, manning election points. Did you hear of any case of voter oppression or suppression, as the case may be?
Well, there's certainly not going to be talked about on the official Iraqi stations. That's the problem. And the people that turned out for the protests the past couple of years, the mostly young people, were saying, many of them were being quoted as saying that they were not enthused by it, they were not going to vote. I don't know if suppression or not. I don't know if their names are actually on the voting list. Maybe some of them, their votes are not on the voting list because people know how they're going to vote. But I don't know that for a fact. I'm just speculating given my years in the Middle East. So probably there is some voter suppression, probably.
Right, Edward, thank you for that update.
My pleasure, Joka.
Let's move on. In Hong Kong, pro-democracy media tycoon Jimmy Lai is facing a long-awaited trial over charges that he colluded with foreign forces. The 76-year-old denies the charges and has been jailed since December 2020. He's facing life in prison if found guilty. He was arrested under the national security law, which China has been accused of wielding to crush dissent. His case has caused international uproar and is widely seen as a test of Hong Kong's judicial independence. And on the African continent, particularly in Guinea, where at least 8 people have died and 84 others injured in the capital Conakry following an explosion at the main oil terminal in the Kaloum neighborhood. Reports say the explosion occurred in the early hours of Monday, shortly after midnight, and accompanied by a fire. Videos show a huge fire and billowing black smoke as firefighters rushed to the area, while several tanker trucks left the depot, escorted by soldiers and the police. According to officials, the fire has been contained and authorities have ordered schools in the city to close, urging workers to also stay at home. Eyewitnesses say the explosion blew off roofs and windows from buildings in the area, causing significant damage and forcing several people to flee. Guinea is not an oil producer and has no oil refining capacity. It imports refined products, which are mostly stored in the Kaloum terminal and distributed via trucks across the country. Staying in Africa, Kenya and the European Union have signed a major economic partnership agreement that's expected to guarantee the East African country duty-free and unlimited access for select products into the EU, its biggest export market. Kenyan President William Ruto and EU Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen were present at the signing ceremony in Nairobi as the Kenyan Minister of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs and Spanish Secretary of State for Trade put pen to paper. Kenya is required to reciprocate by gradually opening its market to EU products. The EU is Kenya's leading export destination and second largest trading partner, totaling about 3.3 billion euros of trade in 2022, an increase of 27% compared to 2018. Both the EU and Kenyan parliaments will have to ratify the deal to bring it into effect.
Today's agreement heralds a new era where Kenyan goods gain immediate and permanent duty and quota-free access to the European market.
The agreement will usher in the era of blended opportunities, with the EAC, COMESA, and ACFTA mechanisms supporting attractive investment potential. I am particularly happy that this agreement we are signing today leaves the door open, and I say wide open, for our EAC partners to join into this agreement so that together as a region we can benefit from the economies of scale, and Europe can equally benefit from the economies of scale in our part of the world.
Then, as you said, President Ruto, the agreement is open to the other states of the Eastern African community, and this makes Kenya a trendsetter, a pioneer. You're showing how to move forward. We encourage the other Eastern African countries to join this economic partnership agreement. They can only benefit from the regional integration, and of course, it is here in the region important also amongst yourselves to open the markets.
Elsewhere now, Sudan's Foreign Affairs Ministry has ordered 3 Chadian diplomats to leave the country within 72 hours in retaliation for a similar move by Chad. Chad's government had on Saturday declared 4 Sudanese diplomats attached to Sudan's embassy in N'Djamena as persona non grata and ordered their exit from the country within 72 hours. It made the decision after 2 Sudanese officials accused Chad's government of interfering in the ongoing conflict in Khartoum by supporting the paramilitary rapid support forces. A spokesperson of Chad's government was quoted as saying that the recurrence of statements by Sudanese authorities with regards to Chad and its government is simply not acceptable, hostile, and masks a hidden agenda. Well, campaigns for the Democratic Republic of Congo's election are due to end today, 2 days before voters go to the polls. Insecurity, health and education are among key issues that have dominated campaigns as the country gears up for the vote. It's unclear whether the elections will take place in the rest of East, where dozens of armed groups are active. The government is using aircraft from the Congolese army, Egyptian army and UN peacekeepers force MONUSCO to deploy the remaining election materials.
As Democratic Republic of Congo gears up for the December 20th elections, the opposition and independent observers warned that issues including illegible voter cards, blocked campaign planes and electoral list delays threaten the legitimacy of the results. For months, the CENI Election Commission has rejected criticism in its failing to deliver a free and fair vote as promised, even as it flags logistical setbacks rolling out the presidential and legislative ballot across Africa's second largest country. Tensions have escalated in the final weeks of campaigning, challengers to President Felix Tshisekedi crying foul over an allegedly uneven playing field. On Saturday, thousands gathered in Lubumbashi to attend presidential candidate Moise Katumbi's final rally ahead of the presidential vote. In 2018, Moise Katumbi was prevented from entering the country in time to submit his candidacy for the presidential election. But this time, his chances have been boosted by the backing of 3 candidates that have dropped out of the race. Thousands of people also attended opposition candidate Martin Fayulu's final campaign rally in Kinshasa. The 67-year-old former oil executive and leader of the Engagement for Citizenship and Development Party came second to President Felix Tshisekedi in 2018. But Fayulu claims he won with over 62% of the vote and challenged the results in court. However, incumbent President Tshisekedi is seeking a second term in office. The son of long-term opposition leader Etienne Tshisekedi had on taking office promised to root out corruption and authoritarian rule, rebuild the economy, tackle inequalities and deal with Congo's prolonged security crisis. But critics say he has fallen short on these issues. Almost 44 million people are registered to vote in an election that will determine whether incumbent President Felix Tshisekedi will remain in office.
And it's a festive season after all, with just a week to go before Christmas Day. Exactly a week. Santa Claus in the Finland city of Rovaniemi has only one wish this year, which was for people around the world to live together in peace after a turbulent 2023. Sitting in his Arctic Circle chamber and reading letters from all over the world, Santa said everyone should focus on keeping children safe and happy in the new year. And in the post office, thousands of Santa's elves are busy sorting the hundreds of thousands of letters they receive with children's requests for Christmas Day gifts. On December 25, each letter Santa sends back gets a special Christmas stamp.
Once again, this year has been quite turbulent, and it seems to be that people have already forgotten some very important things, like friendship. One of the most important things in the world is the well-being of children. Children's well-being should be the goal for all of us the whole year. It's good to remember that friendship and Christmas spirit can be found in the same place, in all of our hearts. We can all do things to make my wish come true. My biggest wish is that people from all over the world could live together in peace. It's time to say to everybody, very Merry Christmas and happy and a better New Year.
It is just my luck that I came to Finland during Christmas. The whole city, all the cities we visited, including Ravanami, are just so well done. We visited the Christmas market. We met Santa. There was snow when we met Santa during Christmas with all the caroling. It was just amazing. I've never experienced Christmas like this anywhere, and this is just like I read and saw in the movies, and like it exceeded all my expectations.
We are now at the Santa Claus's main post office, and this is the place where all the letters from the world come. And yearly Santa gets around 500,000 letters. And this year, the biggest amounts have came from Taiwan and Hong Kong, Poland, Italy, and of course Finland, and some European countries like Germany, France, Italy, Spain, and so on.
Well, and so the season of giving continues. Well, that's our show today. Thank you for watching. I'm Jaka Rogers. Bye for now.